you talk a lot about social networks and you talk a lot about mobile and certainly how they both come together, but the reality is that services out there, anything from Facebook, MySpace, and even Twitter to an extent, they're called social networks, but the reality of it is that your true social network is the social network that's important enough to be in your address book. So that's one of the first things that you go into when you start talking about it being one of the most personal devices. The other is that, you know, there's a general phenomenon about social paranoia, and I think that's one of the reasons why advertising doesn't work so well in social networks like Facebook and so forth, because the reality is you're going to those sites and you have blinders on because there's the social paranoia of, oh my God, could my friends be doing something cooler than I'm doing right now? And 15 years ago, we used to talk about text messaging and what it meant in Europe. And you know, text messaging was a cheaper alternative to communications because the top two messages used to be, what are you doing? And the second one was call me, because incoming calls were free. But you know, that message means a lot, doesn't it? Which is, what are you doing? And so what happens is that that becomes very personal as well. So it's about all those messages, and you know, you always hear these stories when you talk to teenagers about, you know, where do they keep their phone at night, and it's being charged right on their bedside. You'll also hear stories about lots of teenage girls who will sleep with their phone underneath their pillow, hoping that it vibrates and maybe they'll get a message in the middle of the night from somebody that they're interested in. So the other thing that's also really interesting is that there's a professor at NYU, his name is Clay Shirky, and some of you are probably familiar with him. He's just an absolutely just brilliant, some really brilliant insights. And one of his students once told me that Clay said that teenagers now consider their relationships formal, permanent, and established once they move off of instant messaging and text messaging and into email, because email now is considered to be, you know, if you're 16, you know, if you're in that category of 16 or 16 to 21, 16 to 22, email is considered more formal communication. It's something that you talk to your teachers with or you talk to your family with. Otherwise, you'll talk to people through various social networks and so forth. And all of those social networks now are off the computer, and you know, and they're on your phone. And other things that also contribute to it is the fact that every day we get more and more media capability on these devices. I mean, just look at any time that there's been a hack of a sidekick, you know, where you know, all of a sudden people are pulling the pictures off of somebody's phone or something like that. So I ask you all, if somebody took your computer or took your phone right now, what would you be more concerned about? I mean, now I'm talking about your work computer, because your home computer you might have a lot of other stuff on there, but I'm just saying your work computer. But the thing
Allegedly.
is,
your hard drive.
Come on. We're all journalists here, right? But the reality of it is that, you know, I'd be much more concerned if I lost this, because not only is this phone might have personal messages, but it also has a lot of memories, and at the same time, it also has vital contact information. You know, and if I lost, I mean, think about how many phone numbers you remember nowadays. Come on, it's like, you know, you get into that argument, right? You don't even know my number, you know, and it's like, well, it's because it's in my book. But it's an incredibly personal device, and it just gets more and more personal.